Hey, Viking fans, Daryl Madison will not be joining us today, but we got a lot to talk about next in 3, 2, 1. Gather around, Skull brothers and sisters. This is Skull World Live, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Skull World. I got Johnny Football with me again today. We're making this a real thing. Let's go. Tell them, Johnny, where can they follow you?
Yeah, Daily Skull Podcast on Spotify. You can find me on YouTube on Tuesday nights at 8 Central, Necessary Roughness, and some more random things in the works, some freelance writing. But I think my Twitter handle's in the description as well. I'm firing off on there most days.
Yeah, I didn't put it on there, but I will. I forgot. Anyways, I'll get it in there. I thought you were going to send me it, I think, and I don't know if you ever did. Did you?
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you were going to send it to me. I was going to copy and paste it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's Johnny's fault. He's a bad man. Yeah, as I said in the teaser, Alexander Madison's dad, Daryl, wonderful human being, was going to be on our show tonight. He unfortunately is in a thunderstorm, stuck in traffic that's not moving. And rather than have him risk his life doing FaceTime in a movie vehicle, we're not going to have him on tonight. We'll try to bring him on next week sometime. As you know, I do a show on Tuesday, I do a show on Wednesday, and we're trying to. This one might be a little more flexible, but right now it's on Thursday nights at 9. A lot has happened this week. Johnny, what do you want to start with first?
We can start with the Hitman stuff if you want. That's probably the freshest.
Yeah, why not? So tell us what happened with harrisonsmith.
Probably best case scenario for us Vikings fans. It was about the largest amount of money we could save while retaining him. He took a pay cut type of restructure, new deal. Saves us $6.7 million to the 2023 cap. New deals like $8 million base salary, another $2 million in incentives, but significantly less than it would be if we didn't touch his contract. So that's a huge win for the Vikes.
What's the cap hit now on him, do you think?
So I think to the 2023 cap, it's something like 12.9 or maybe 13 even. I think it was 12 something. 6.7 less than his original. I think it was either 19.1. I'm getting his and Elon mixed up, I think.
It's not updated on Spot Track.
Okay.
Or Spot Rack. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, so whatever.
But I wonder if it's on. Oh, anyways, what a deal for us, really. He's just signed a 1-year deal and cut the rest of the contract up. Is that right? That's what it
seems like? We don't have the figures for the rest of the deal. It might be some of it pushed out. But the stuff that was released immediately was its effect on the 2023 cap, which is an extra almost $7 million.
Vikings from Vikings on Center, Rhino, friend of the program, says we saved just under $7 million. Yeah, it was like 6 something. Yeah, I was just curious to what actual cap hit he had. Based on,
I don't think it's all out yet.
Yeah, I imagine it's more than $8 million. It's so that's why I was wondering. But yeah, he was looking. We were looking at. We were looking at a 19 million cap hit with a 11.7 million dead cap hit. So
yeah, it's damn near as much as we would have saved cutting him.
So this is wonderful. How do you feel? And I changed the thumbnail to Hitman Unleashed. How much do you think that is probably true, dealing with Brian Flores as our new defensive coordinator?
I think it's going to be pretty true. I think, it would have been tough to lose another leader on the defensive side too. You got to keep some of those guys, but I think, like you mentioned, he's going to be unleashed. He's going to be utilized more so the way he's meant to be, and the way he functions best, and that's disguising up at the line of scrimmage relatively often, coming downhill. And that's what Flores loves to do. I mean, there's a look he loves to throw out called the 7-0, which is 7 guys along the line of scrimmage, press coverage onto the boundary. And you never know what's going to come out of it. You don't know who's coming. And that's what I'm really excited for, because Harrison Smith's been so good at disguising that kind of stuff.
That's why I pay you the big bucks, man, to come up with things like 7-0.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I throw the money at you.
It's just goofy. Yeah, exactly.
I'm broke. I don't have
checks in the mail. I'm sure.
I'm sure it's coming. It's coming.
But yeah, he's going to be a bigger part of that, the disguise of the front, and he's going to make it difficult on opposing quarterbacks. And I mean, Flores loves to blitz his safeties. He loves to blitz his linebackers, which is why I think he was interested in keeping Jordan Hicks around. And I mean, guys like Brandon Jones and Javon Holland, he liked throwing around out of the Miami secondary, and I think that's going to be very much the case with Harrison and a guy like Lewis Seen, but Harrison in particular, because he also is such a smart player. So he's going to be an extension of Flores on the field, I feel like.
Now, for those that join the show or watching, I want to hear from you. What do you think about Harrison Smith signing? Give us a skull, give us something. If I got new listeners on Thursday night, I want to know who you are. I haven't been going live on Thursday nights very often yet, so I know it takes a while for a show to grow. So hey, let us know. Let us hear your skull. I appreciate it, and make sure you hit like on the channel. Make sure you hit like. But one of the things you're talking about is disguising defenses. And that was my biggest complaint. And when we did have success, it seemed like he did it late in the fourth quarter, and we got a couple stops and we won a game, or Kirk Cousins was able to come back and win the game. And now I feel like we're going to do that the whole game.
Yep.
And he was like one of the biggest blitzing coaches when he was at Miami. He wasn't the D coordinator at the Steelers, but what a guy to learn from even more. Tomlinson, and Belichick was people don't realize this half the time, but he was a D coordinator, not an offensive coordinator
for the Super Bowl Giants back in the 80s.
Yeah, he was carried off the field, and
yeah, he was.
That was an amazing 1988 team. Now, people don't realize this, but Bill Belichick actually interviewed to be our D coordinator the year after Bud Grant left, and it was Les Steckel. Yeah, Les Steckel was going to be our head coach. He comes in the interview. He's offered the job. He says, "Let me think about it. Let me sleep on it. I'll come back in the morning." He goes to he gets a call saying, "Hey, I think he's just a placement. I think he's just a transition guy. I don't think you really should." And so he calls them from the airport saying he's not taking the job and leaves. We almost had Bill Belichick as our defensive coordinator at one time. Oof. It's out of his mouth too. It was a documentary. It was I'm repeating almost exactly because I have this solid steel trap of memory. I lie, but it was just like that. But he turned it down. Sure enough, we would lose 3 games. First time we win 3 games, for the worst record we've ever had. Bud Grant comes back the next year.
Save the day.
But we almost had Belichick. Did anyone know that Kirk took $14 million pay cut this year, is making 16 and making in 16 in 2023? So his contract looks like he's 20 against the cap this year. Everything got pushed. If he's not on our team next year, we're going to incur $28 million dead cap hit if he's not on our team next year. But if he does play, there's going to be $10 million for us waiting along with an extension, is what I'm getting. Is that what you see? Right.
So yeah, Tim, it's not a pay cut. Kirk's going to see all the money.
Oh yeah, he's saying pay cut, but yeah,
it does help us. It does shave $16 million off the 2023 cap, which was a full restructure into his existing void years. So he's not doing anybody a big favor. It's not even necessarily anything they need to consult him on, because he actually sees the money the same time he would have. Yeah. Just the way it hits the cap is different, and it's spread out over those void years. So you're right, David, is a 28 point something $1 million cap hit.
Yeah, and I think 10 million of it's scheduled for next year. If he re-signs with us, we got 10 million waiting for us right there.
Right.
So yeah. Do you? Let's talk about it since it's one of the first questions. Do you feel like I don't think it's determined that Kirk Cousins is or is not going to be here next year. I still think that's up in the air. I think we'll know more after the draft. Because if we don't get a quarterback in the draft, I'm thinking they're going to have to extend him 1 year.
Probably. But I think it leaves the door open, to your right, to maybe finding that guy in the draft if somebody slides a little bit. Like the Bears going up and getting Justin Fields when he fell to yeah, that's right, Rhino. That was those games that he used to call would just make you feel alive watching him. But yeah, so it gives you more time to mull over that extension if you're the front office. But I really like Kwesi kind of sticking to his guns in that sense. Not budging early. The extension went through on March 15th last season, but not budging early on that and accomplishing the same thing that you want to accomplish with an extension, which is lowering the 2020.
This was going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah, we're knocking that money off. You can move it around, but you're also not tethered to Kirk Cousins for 2024 as it stands. You have the rest of the offseason to figure something else out if that's the way you want to go. If you find the succession plan for him, you're able to then, okay, sure, we'll eat the dead cap hit and move on because we feel like we've got a guy. If you don't find that guy, the door's not closed on an extension. Uncensored's helping us out. So yeah, it shaves 16 million off the 2020.
Yeah, I had said 20 million. I think he's just telling the other guy.
Right. So the current cap hit is 20 million, down from 36 or 30.
But yeah, 36. He makes a good point here that I didn't say is that we have a lot of room next year. So it doesn't, taking a $28 million cap hit next year is not going to kill us if we have a quarterback in place. Right.
And that was the big thing about cutting Thielen. Because you accelerated all his dead hit and you free the whole 22 mil that he was slated to get in 2024 for that 2024 season of cap space. So then maybe you're a little bit more comfortable doing this restructure into the void years with Kirk, because that did save you a lot of 2024 space, which is something that's overlooked sometimes in that move.
What's up, Zone? You my guy too. Even though you give me crap. All right. Let's talk about this. Skull, I only wanted Madison Hitman to resign. Feeling good today.
Good call.
Now we got more money. Probably, I might be exaggerating. We got more money in the running back room than we got in the quarterback room right now, it looks like, as far as cap hit. Do you think that's going to stay? Or do you think we're desperately trying to trade Dalvin Cook? And it would have been nice to talk to Mr. Madison today. Yeah. He think, it's a great running back room. They work well together. They love each other. Mm-hmm. Mr. Madison told me that they just, that Madison really looks up to Dalvin Cook. He's been a mentor to him. This is a great, and obviously he's a leader. Dalvin Cook is, and Madison for the most part is too. This is a great running back room. Is it going to stay this way? What do you think, or which way do you think we're going?
I'm like 60-40 that it's not, but I could still see it happening because, like you said, he is a leader in the locker room. It's tough to move on from so many of those in the same offseason. But also, if we see a move take place with Dalvin, that might not be until a month from now. It might be closer to draft day than it is to the start of the league year, frankly. Because I think, again, all the numbers aren't necessarily out, but the Vikings are cap compliant now with some of these moves they've gone through, pay cuts and everything. And Davenport's, we'll get to him, but his contract isn't even fully signed yet. But, it's still kind of a coin flip to me, because I thought it was. I mean, there was a sense that Cook was going to be gone a few days ago to get cap compliant before the league year, and then they just took a few different avenues to get there, and now again they just kind of bought themselves some time. We've seen how patient Kwesi's been with these moves. You saw him say, okay, well, let's push Dalvin Tomlinson's void date back by a month and see if we can work something out. And now it's an instance where they're probably in $2 million of Dalvin's base salary, if I'm not mistaken, guarantees tomorrow, the 17th. So maybe they're comfortable eating that and buying some more time between now and the draft to see if they want to move from him. If they do, I think they've got a decent room either way, because a guy like Ty Chandler he showed a lot of flashes in the preseason, for what it's worth. And they could
can't wait to see him in the open field once. I guess
right?
runs a 4.36 and in the not in the combine, but in college he got the combine. He ran a sub 4.4.
Yep, and in the preseason this past season, he had the highest yards per carry after contact of any running back in the league.
There you have it, pure gold from Johnny Football. That is why
random
checks in the mail. One of the points they make is we're buying time. Why take scraps when you got a football player that could play for us? I mean,
right?
Is it really? Should I release a player, lose the depth, and take a 6th or 7th round pick? I think Kwesi was getting offered peanuts. He's wanting almonds. So I made that up. That's a Shelskyism. Book it. But when we get to the draft, there might be players that say, "Oh, I lost that running back that I was hoping to get," potentially giving us a little more leverage, saying, and everybody wants to make a move. They missed their guy. They need a running back. Boom, we got one for you. Give us a pick next year, or give us a good pick next year, because people are more willing to free up next year's picks than they are this year's picks. And if we don't get our quarterback, then next year we'll need it. So I think there's also I think he's buying time. And what's the worst that could happen? We got a Pro Bowl running back that was 6th in yards last year.
Yeah, and from Dalvin's perspective as well, we've seen the running back market develop a little bit through free agency. I mean, a guy like Miles Sanders got 4 years, 25. The David Montgomery deal. None of these guys are getting huge money. I think Jamal Williams was 3 years, 12. So maybe he's looking at that and saying, well, if I'm able to stick around here, that's probably a best case scenario in playing on this number. And like you mentioned, from the Vikings standpoint, if there's not an immediate like 1-for-1 replacement, if you don't feel that way, there's a lot of other ways to create the cap space you need. It's not this dire need to move off of Dalvin, especially when, if you do so after this season and next off season, it's there's very little dead cap compared to what we would be eating this season. It's a much easier out. So it could go really any way, and I'd be happy either way. I do like keeping Dalvin around, but I wouldn't. It sounds like the door slammed shut on the Miami business. They re-signed Mostert and Jeff Wilson, and
I'm at the Miami game, and I'm sitting there, and there's this guy behind me and Rap. Rap came down. He picks one game of the year. It just so happened he picked Miami. Just so happened we met doing YouTube. So we're sitting together, and there's this guy behind us, and he is screaming how he hates Mozart. I'm like, he's fast, but he just can't play football. He can't get anywhere. He can't break a tackle. He's over and over the entire game, and he was so true because he wasn't getting anywhere. But hey, they re-signed him.
Yeah,
here's something I want to address. Dude, I lost my mouse. Zone doesn't want to win football games. I think he does not want to win football games. He'd rather have JJ play quarterback and get rid of Kirk. I'm kidding, man. I know you're not serious. You can't be serious. All right. A shout out, Gulberson Toy Box Company. Hey, Dave, it's me. All right, good. It's Thursday night. Thursday night, Skull World Live. Hopefully we keep this going. So let's talk about this. I love chat. Bring us questions. Bring us what you think. We'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. We want you to tell us what to talk about. I have all this stuff in backup plan, but I want to go off of what you're saying. For drafting Hendon Hooker, this is settled business. Have you got a chance to look? Well, by the way, I did a video on him. Go check it out. Go look at the playlist. You'll see 2023 draft pick, where you can go find the guys I already did videos on. But Hendon Hooker, what do you think of him?
I would love that. It's such a, well, for some
I'm in like with it.
Yeah. I might be a little more.
Couple more dates. More dates. I might be in love with it.
For a lot of people, that probably feels like a 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of thing. You're not trading up for one of these premier guys. You're going with an older prospect coming off of an injury. But it's a guy who I think could really benefit from sitting behind a guy like Kirk for a year, and he's, not going to be starting wherever he goes in that first season. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to taking a shot at him. It's not. It depends on the value, of course, and he might be climbing boards a little bit. I've heard like some second round buzz on him. If he falls to the third round, I think that'd be money. I think he would be leagues ahead of a guy like Kellen Mond, Kyle Trask, Davis Mills, that group that went on day 2 drafts ago when we did take a swing. So I'd be all for it.
Do you think he's got a higher floor than Anthony Richardson?
Higher floor? Probably. Nowhere near as high of a ceiling, but he does feel like a pretty sure.
He like performed big time 2 years in a row, right?
Right.
I've picked the last 2 years.
So much more football than a guy like Anthony Richardson, which there's
like 3 times more football.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Those guys would be sweet. I'd love Stroud. I'd love AR-15.
It would be exciting, right? It would be super exciting.
Yeah. I wouldn't even shit on Levis. That'd be fine. I'm not a big fan of the mayo in the coffee or anything like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing him.
That's too close.
That's wild.
Let me get back. Oh, we're back like this?
Yeah.
Too close. All right.
But yeah.
Oh yeah, let's see. We have over 18 million tied up in the running back group right now. This is not exactly Moneyball move by Quasey.
Yeah,
we talked about that. I was kidding that we had more money in the running back room than the quarterback room, but yeah, it's a little less, but pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's well, hey, if you got the room, you got the room. It's depth.
And it's not like we had to tag Madison like the Cowboys and then cut Zeke, because at that point you're paying $30 million to your running back room. But
yeah,
I think it's tenable. If they go, I wouldn't be throwing a fit necessarily. But yeah, I agree with you, Bandito, that it's an SEC. He's playing against SEC defenses, multiple year starter. It's got to be something that the staff would be attracted to, I think. But that's something I would like. I wouldn't even mind taking a swing on a later round guy, but I think Hooker would be sort of a perfect fit for the trajectory of this team. When you think about the restructure of Kirk, no extension yet. Hooker's going to need a year to get right either way, as well as learn the offense. Nick Mullins is back on a 2-year extension, I think, actually. But sitting as a backup for a full season, and then potentially at this point next season, you can decide whether or not he's going to be ready, and then see what you think about talking to Kirk. But I would like it too. I mean, I would be a fan of a plan. If I see a plan from the front office and the coaching staff for a succession plan at quarterback, I'm all in until it doesn't work. You know, let me see what you guys are thinking.
So, to answer you, Dave, he's not my ex. We're on a break, kind of like Ross and Jennifer Aniston. But we're on a break. He's out there. He's out there with my co-host right now. I see him live with Jamie. So, but anyways, we actually talked today. He was gonna not go because I was gonna have Madison. So like 15 minutes before, I told him, "Hey, Madison's dad's not gonna be here," so he probably went live. Anyways, but yeah, we talked about making sure that we're not at the same time. I don't know. He doesn't have a schedule. He goes live when he wants to go live, and it's usually at 9:00. This is a good hour to have a show, so that's why I schedule it for 9. But I gotta talk. I didn't want to like change times with John, so I held this time. But we might see a different day, a different time next week for this show. But thanks for bringing it up. Go over there and tell him. Go over there and ask Rap, "Hey, what's up with Skull Live?" Tell him, "Hey, when's Skull Live gonna happen again?" Ask him that. If you didn't know, John, then it was Skull Live. This is Skull World Live. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We get season QB for 5 years on a rookie contract. After these 5, draft another season QB for 5 years on a rookie contract. Yeah, you hope you get a quarterback for 5 years. Look what happened to the Giants. They didn't put a 5th year on Danny Dimes. I'm gonna call him that. And now they're paying him $40 million or whatever. Mm-hmm. When they could have been paying him like 22 or something like that for this year. But let's get caught up here. Season QB rookie contract frees up money for all two. Yeah, it is very true. That is the thing. You probably aren't taking Hooker in the first round, so you don't get year 5.
Bingo.
He could still get drafted in the first round, though. Look what we did and went up and got. Went up and got our guy like pick 28, traded it from the second round and back into the first round, and we did get that 5th year. So if someone needs a quarterback and missed out on the big guys and is sitting there early in the second round, it would make sense to go up and get in draft a Hendon Hooker if you really like him and get that extra year. So yeah, that makes that could happen. That's the thing. He may not come to us, and we don't have a second round pick, and I really, really doubt. I don't think we're going after a quarterback that high in the draft, and we're hoping a guy falls to us. If he does, then we maybe take him. But I don't think we would draft a Hendon Hooker, being how old he was coming off an injury at 23. But hey, if we trade down once, even twice in the second round, I can see us doing that. If you don't go up and get one of the big 4 except Stroud, then I doubt. Yeah, I think Stroud's going number 1 personally. And my 2 other options this year is Hooker and Bennett. I have to look at Bennett. I couldn't talk about him. Unless you can. You want? Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know what you think of Bennett. The only other like real. And what's the temperature on Bennett right now? Have you seen him going like mid rounds or
I haven't. I haven't paid attention.
Yeah, I haven't either. Let us know.
I've been so stuck on this, the free agent frenzy this week that I haven't even looked. Mm-hmm. His availability seems realistic at the right pick. Gotcha. Oh, he's responded to my long-winded story of me and Rap's extended break. But the chat's slowing down a little bit. Let me pull up some of these guys. We already talked about Kirk Cousins, Pat Peterson going to the Steelers, and we went and got Byron Murphy. Now, Peterson would have been cheaper, right? And he had a good year. What makes us get rid of a cheaper version? Is it the age? Is it the potential that we went and spent $11 million? I think probably this year. It was $22 million over 2 years, right?
So the base money on Murphy's deal is actually only 17.5. From 17.5 to 22 is all incentives.
Awesome.
So base value is really only 8.75 APY, which is a massive steal for a guy like Murphy. There are, he has had some ups and downs, but he comes from Washington in college, same school as Trent McDuffie. I think he was there when like Sidney Jones was there, and he was supposed to be like just a slot guy. Really, once he got to the NFL, when Peterson got suspended was when he ended up playing on the outside. I think either his rookie year or his second year, and did really well. And he has some really solid man coverage chops that he's shown at this level. And I think that's the main differentiating factor outside of age between him and Patrick Peterson. And I think they would have been comfortable bringing Pat P back on another like 1 year, $4 million, like they'd done a couple times. But I think the value, and you're seeing the vision with Kwesi, everybody he's going after in free agency. He's said before on the podium that you can't really plan out further than 2 years in this league. And that's sort of what he's doing. He's always going to be attacking a 2-year window. So he's going with young, potential 25, 26-year-old guys that he's able to get for a relative bargain, based on maybe some injury concerns, maybe some like mild performance concerns even. But I think you see, if these guys hit, it's a huge, massive win. If Byron Murphy's anything like he was against a guy like, he shadowed over in the NFC West. He shadowed guys like Cooper Kupp. He shadowed guys like DK Metcalf, inside, outside. All game long, he was on guys like that. And there were a couple times our hand was forced with having Patrick Peterson follow the number one receiver, but not often. We played sides, and I think this gives us and Brian Flores the flexibility to follow the number one with a guy you can stick with him. And again, it's a really bargain number, especially when you consider the base value actually being under $10 million a year. Patrick Peterson got $7 million a year, and as he's starting to age out, last season might be the best season he's going to have in his 30s. But I think the Murphy deal and the Davenport deal and the Oliver deal just have such potential to be huge steals. And if they don't pan out, if the injury concerns rear their ugly heads, if they don't hit their ceiling, it's a little bit, it's not as much of a loss. It's not a huge investment either way. So he's kind of playing the middle right there, but you kind of see his vision. He wants to get younger. He wants some high potential kind of guys. Davenport was a 14th overall pick. And I think Murphy just going to fit the Flores defense a lot better than a guy like Patrick Peterson either way. Which it's interesting because Peterson goes where Flores came from last season, but I think when you want to be aggressive with your secondary, Murphy's the obvious choice when you're thinking about those two guys who wore the number 7 in AZ.
This is my favorite comment of the night. This is the first year we haven't been discussing Kyle Sloter. Yeah, there probably will be.
Correct.
2 Evil to Hope is on here. He'd probably say bring Kyle Sloter back. Let's see. I think defensive age is declining with the moves. Hitman's the exception. Yeah. I think it's a very good point. I just asked Johnny about getting younger at cornerback. I think that was a good move. We got younger at the D line with Davenport. Hitman, however, was a unique situation where we were going to take a huge cap hit, but he would be perfect in Flores' defense. He's also mentoring these young safeties, especially Lewis Seen. And we were so much better with him in the game because you saw these safeties screwing up when he was not in there. So give me one more year, Hitman. Give me one more year of Hitman before we put a yellow jacket on him. I'm happy to have him.
And that's much better than what 11.7 dead if you were to cut him.
It wasn't the difference. Next year would have been the year, right, to cut him. Yeah. But now I don't know what happened those rest of those years. hasn't been updated on any of these trackers yet. But hey, what a deal! What a guy! What a sacrifice, right? He could have went somewhere. I honestly don't know if he gets that much money because of his age, though. So this might have been a really good financial move for him. With Thielen, it didn't work out with Thielen. He's gone, but this might being 36 years old going into the season, right? I
think it's his age 35 season.
The 35?
I think he's 34 right this second.
Sorry if I made you too old, Hitman. I think defensive age is climbing with news. Hitman's exception. Yes, I agree. Let's go. Very happy with the Smith news today. There's a plan to build this team to hold up the championship trophy.
I like it, Mary.
Mary, even with Kirk Cousins, I'm clipping this. And I'll play it. I'm gonna play it. You said we're gonna hold up a championship trophy. I agree, Mary. I have actually a little more excitement this offseason, and I was really optimistic. Only reason I was optimistic last year is because how weak our schedule was and that we had an extra home game, right? And one of our road games was not a road. It was a neutral site. So I was really optimistic last year, but I am feeling better about this offseason. I was not sold on Donatell. I thought there was better choices out there. We got Donatell. It's like, what has this guy done? Has he done anything? But this year we got a Flores who's much more aggressive. I wasn't high on him until I started looking at the 2 seasons he called plays, and they were excellent seasons. His third year with the Dolphins, or was it second year? One of the years with the Dolphins that they were ranked 6th, and then him winning the Super Bowl with the Patriots. So those are 2 years that he actually called the plays, and I think that spoke volumes. So when someone brought that to my attention, I went to look at it. Sure enough, I looked at articles. Those are the 2 years he called plays. I don't know why he didn't call plays the whole time when he was in Miami. He probably would still be the coach there. But Dave is grasping at Kirk straws. Ha ha ha. There you go. I make a joke. And I know you think I'm joking. I know you're laughing with me, not at me. But you guys know what happened with Davenport flying back home, not signing. Damn it. You just made my heart flutter. No, I don't know that.
I didn't see he flew back. Last I heard was he was in Minnesota and his introductory interview was postponed because they were still working behind the scenes. But that's a little disconcerting. I know they were trying to do some goofy things to affect his 2023 cap number. Maybe it ended up being a little too incentive laden, and he stormed off. But no, I didn't see that. I'm interested to find out.
Let's slow down again. Let's see. Let's talk about the defensive line. Donald Tomlinson going to the Browns for an extravagant amount of money. I found out recently that we do not get compensation because of dead cap money. It's like all these banks failing. They're not gonna, unlike the banks failing, where the government's gonna say, "Here's some money." Yeah, no, the NFL is not that way, and they're not gonna just give us draft picks for being failures. So great, but hey, I would lead into the doubt. Now I'm all worried about Davenport, but I feel a little bit better about Flores running this defensive line because he's going to put guys in to where they're going to succeed. And
that's what he's all about.
And I think that, I wouldn't mind, Danielle Hunter playing the 3-4 D end. I just see that happening a lot. You want pressure up the middle, put Danielle Hunter there. Zimmer did it. So why not? These guys are going to move around. I'm pretty excited about it. I thought Davenport would be a piece of that. Now I'm a little scared. Thank you for ruining my night. I'm kidding. It's the business. There'll be other opportunities. I think we're going to do something in the draft. People were thinking $13 million was high for Davenport anyways, but hey, it still could happen, right? I didn't hear anything.
Definitely still could.
And I liked it, even though it was 13 million. I'm sure he felt like it was too much money for a guy who only had a half sack last year. But this guy's got a lot of talent, a physical freak. That hey, it's only 1 year commitment to, and this guy's betting on himself. It's probably a good move for both teams. He doesn't want to sign a 2-year, $16 million contract. He's going to sign a 1 year, 13, and try to make that 18 a year next year. That's the way I feel like he was probably thinking.
Yeah, and a lot was made of the sack numbers or lack thereof. I mean, he had a season where he had 9.5 in 11 games. There's so much variability to that. But over the last 3 seasons, among qualifying edge rushers, starting edge rushers who got a
thank you, Rhino. I'm now off the ledge. I've backed away from the ledge.
Oh, good.
I backed away from the ledge.
Okay. But no, I was big on him. Over the past 3 seasons, he was 14th among qualifying edge rushers in pass rush win rate, and he was 17th in pressure rate among all edge rushers across the league, starting edge rushers. So he wins at the line of scrimmage. It's kind of the conversation we had about, Zadarius Smith fell off at the end of last season. Or
had high pressures, right?
Right.
It was just that we were so damn predictable. Honestly, that was my thought, is that, these guys dropped off because they're so damn predictable. But at the same time, he was putting Danielle Hunter's hand on the ground more often. And that's why Danielle was succeeding. But still, we were so predictable that everywhere Zadarius was going to go, that's where he was going to rush. JD, we talked about it. Yes, we're all freaking, let's freaking go. Hitman's back, baby. That's what this show started on about. We were going to have Alexander Madison's dad on here. Did a little bait and switch on you. No, he actually had, he has some weather issues. He was stuck in traffic. It wasn't moving. I think I'll have him on next week. He's a good guy. He told me he wanted to come back the last time I had him on. Skull, JD. Skull, thanks for showing up. Now I got a couple of people in the chat debating their mortality here. I'm getting a little long in the tooth too. Honestly, I don't actually know how old Rhino is, but I think we're about the same age. At least we look it. He's a little skinnier than me though, so I think he might live a little bit longer, have a few more years to get the Vikings to win. I ain't worried about Thompson being gone. I wasn't either. I was, my whole thing is I thought we were going to get draft compensation for him, but now I'm like, great. But he's playing out of position at DN, and he's not a 5 technique, I think, as they call it, when you play nose tackle on a 3-4, where he can get that pressure up the middle, at least consistently. So I would rather take a shot in the draft at it than I would want to, and then there might be an opportunity in free agency still, or hey, what do you know? Put Tonga in some sort of rotation. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be a 0 technique when he's up over the center.
I'm 49. I'm 49, Rhino. Right I'm about to turn 50 April 10th. Damn, been a while, man. It's been a while since the NFC title game too. Let's see. I'm excited that Madison being back too. He's a stud starter, Michael Turner style. I'm older than both of you. Mary, we want them to win for you. They're gonna win for you. Let's see. What else we got here? But not combined. Awesome. But God, you're making. So I'm almost. I guess I'm 2 years older than you, almost. But what were you? I was cutting you off with my stupidity. Go ahead. What were you saying?
You just mentioned, so it would be a 0 technique when he's right over the right head up over the center.
What the hell's a 5 technique then?
5 techniques right outside the tackle. So it goes 0,
so that's 1, the end.
2, 3, 4, 5 out from the inside.
Right.
But anyway,
you're in the
right
gap.
Right. So 3 techniques just outside the guard. But what you talked about earlier with Danielle kicking him inside a little bit. I mean, we saw Zimmer rush Everson from the B gap on third down sometimes, kicking those guys in. And I think you'll see Flores get pretty creative. Not only does he disguise whether pressure's coming or not, he'll also disguise where it's coming from and which gap it's coming from. I mean, he'll have stunts and loops where guys are crossing two gaps from where they started at the line of scrimmage. And a guy like Danielle Hunter is going to be able to cover ground like that and slink in. I think it's going to be really, really interesting. I mean, we talk about the coverage on the back end, all the zero stuff, all the aggressive corner play. But, I mean, watching the line of scrimmage this year is going to be one of the most interesting things, especially when you consider or when you juxtapose it to what we watched last season, where we're sitting there, in our lazy boys on Sunday afternoon saying, all right, here comes some quarter, half. They're sending 4. And, or here's quarters. Our corners are 7 yards off and the safeties are split. And, I bet you this play, Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks are going to be stuck in a hook curl and get burnt by some crosser. And it was, you could see it from your couch and the offensive coordinators were seeing it. So at the very least, we might get burnt a few times. It's going to be a little bit more sink or swim on the defensive side. But I'm just excited to see the different kind of things we're going to do this season. It's back a little bit more to that Zimmer style. When you're on defense, you feel more in control of the game. You're not just it's not going to be this back and forth where it's like, oh, I hope we have the ball last. That's all I was hoping last season was I hope we have the ball last, because I was counting on the offense. And at the end of games, the defense would they would make some big stops, but especially towards the end of the season when it got more predictable. A lot of those were in the beginning of the season when it got so much more predictable. I mean, we were just sitting there watching and waiting for how long it would take the other opposing offense to drive down the field and how much clock they were going to eat up. So it's just going to be a little bit more aggressive, and that's all we can ask for. But the way these guys are going to be deployed across the front is going to be really interesting, and I don't think the Dalvin loss hurts that much. And you're right, JD. They'll probably adjust DT in the draft. I know Dave likes a guy like Keanu Benton. I'm with him there. A lot of guys in the scouting department are pretty high on him as well. There he is. Badger, but sure, we'll take him.
I've seen articles saying, hey, Vikings have now positioned themselves to take best player available, and they make the point wide receiver in the first round. We don't necessarily, it's not as our highest priority, but holy shit, you cannot pass up on guys like this. Or, I think even Zay Flowers is so dynamic that he might go into the first round. But the Packers are finally going to take a receiver in the first round when they get rid of Rodgers, and they're going to take a guy like Najigba and piss me off. Mm-hmm. I would love to take a guy like this or Flowers and have that dynamic because we didn't need Randy Moss. Mm-hmm. We didn't need him, but we took him, and the rest is history. But I can't wait to see what we do. I still feel like we want to build draft capital for 24. I feel like maybe we need a lot more depth, and the only way to do that is to trade down. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like because last year I had 3 guys I wanted at 12, and as soon as we traded out, those 3 exact guys got traded 12th or got picked 12th, 13th, and 14th, and I was like, damn it.
Hamilton, Davis, and who was your third guy?
Say that again.
Hamilton, Davis,
and Williamson.
Okay, yeah.
Williamson?
Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams. Mm-hmm. So those are the 3 guys I wanted, and they got drafted 12th, 13th, and 14th. Mm-hmm. I had Davis first, though. But, yeah, those are the guys I wanted. And it's funny. I was like, I felt like I was smart or something when I actually had those are the 3 guys. that I thought would be there that we would have a chance to take. And we go, well, we traded 32. Did we get their first round next year? Mm-hmm. No, we did not. So, yeah. Mary, thank you. And by the way, I think you made this comment, and I this is my best tweet of all time, apparently, is a picture of Bud Grant and Kevin O'Connell right next to each other, and how much they look like each other. Like, that's a younger version of Bud Grant, and God bless him, man. I took it hard. If you go watch my Twitter short on Bud Grant passing, I was in my car and I had the NFL Network on, and they did a live right there, and I went on. And I tried to do it 5 times, and I choked up each time. Bud Grant passing. Oh, what a cherished.
He still had an office at TCO.
Yeah, and it's like I did a Mount Rushmore before the season, and I'm like, Bud Grant's the mountain. That is what the Vikings was built off of, man. Mm-hmm. He's the only guy that's both in the NFL and the CFL Hall of Fame, and he was the oldest living NBA champion when he died, 95 years old, because he won the championship with the 1950 Minneapolis Lakers with Mikan.
Wow. Uncensored, what do you think of Mozzie Smith, Michigan? But you're right, Dave. I think it does put us in the way the offseason's unfolded now. I think you're right in best player available territory. A move that sort of solidified that for me too. The short Bradbury extension. You don't need to, go get an interior offensive lineman right away and spend high draft capital on that necessarily.
No.
The Jordan Hicks pay cut. We didn't get rid of Kendricks and Hicks, so it's JD. We didn't get rid of Kendricks and Hicks, so we've got a veteran in the room, Hicks, Asamoah. I think if both of those guys are gone, you're looking at the linebacker room and saying, well, we've got to spend probably a premium pick on linebacker if we want this group to be legitimate. But yeah, I think we're sort of positioned. The biggest need might be wide receiver too, and we saw the Josh Oliver signing might point to a lot more 12 personnel, and we might have TJ Hawkinson split out wide a little bit more often, and maybe a little bit less in line, get dynamic with him. So they might be steering away from that a little bit. Might be marginalizing that as much of a need as it's been made out to be, that dynamic wide receiver 2 position. Yeah, I'm with you. Number 1 on Feldman's freaks list, Mozzie Smith.
I gotta get back in that. I gotta get back into my pre-draft videos. Yeah. And as of right now, me and Jonathan are in negotiations. He's asking for a bigger check sent to him to be able to do a draft show together. And we're in negotiations. His people are talking to my people. Who am I kidding? We don't have people. But I'm gonna send my son to talk to his kids, and we'll work something out. Hey, let us dads have the night off, because God knows that it has been my lifelong dream to get on here and do a show about the draft. Ever since I was watching that 19-inch black, well, it was in black and white, but fuzzy Zenith television in my dorm room at South Dakota State University, 3rd floor, Matthews Hall. I stayed and watched that the whole weekend. I didn't do shit. All my friends went home hunting. I'm sitting in my dorm room watching that. And then now I'm gonna do it. Ryan Poles couldn't do. I did a poll today. Who's having a better off season, Ryan Poles or Kwesi? Let's find out how that result happened. Talk about while you talk about it, Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, so there's this is overreaction season, right? And a lot of people are making a lot of the moves he's made, and I don't know why suddenly people think that roster is no longer dog shit. It's not. It's still really, really not good. It might be a little bit better. They might not be the worst team in football next season. Which is a step in the right direction, but it's not going to be this huge improvement that that people expect from these splashy free agent moves. I think Eberflus got his guy in Tremaine Edmonds. I think he'll allow them to do some more Tampa 2 kind of stuff. He's a guy who can take away the deep middle. He's a guy who can contest the catch point with tight ends, and that's going to allow them to do a lot of things on defense that they weren't able to do last year with Jack Sanborn playing Mike. And they also bring in a guy like TJ Edwards, so they double dip on linebackers. Cool. That's still the worst defensive line in football by a mile. You still have issues in the secondary. Eddie Jackson and Jaquan Brisker is an intriguing safety duo. I do really like Jalen Johnson at corner. Guys like Kendall Vilder, Kyler Gordon are still back there. They might go corner in the draft, but they need to draft an entire new defensive line. The offensive line has some issues as well, but the defensive line is terrible still. And the trenches for this team are pretty terrible. Their offensive line was actually mediocre last season, and I think they have some pieces. Braxton Jones at left tackle showed some promise, but Justin Fields still bails from clean pockets a lot. So they're going to have to figure that shit out too if they want to really have a complete offense. We just saw David Montgomery walk. I like Khalil Herbert as a back, but the roster's still not good, and it's still far from good. They're not going to be a threat in the north.
86% of my followers, 200 or about 180 people voted, say 86% say Kwesi. So yeah, I agree.
And it's about doing what you can with what you have. I think if you get, this guy
honestly, if it was before the free agent frenzy, I was like, Poles is going to wipe the floor with us.
Yeah, I like the trade out of one, but how do you not get a haul for one? That's not him being some savant. It's a relatively standard trade down from 1 to 9. Emmanuel Forbes, most pick sixes all time in NCAA history.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's obviously some chance to that, but yeah, I like Forbes too. My father.
Mary, I can't wait either. Mary. Yes. I think we're gonna do all right. You know who are they say we don't have a number 2 pick, but we do. It's TJ Hawkinson. We're drafting him number 2 this year. That's what I say. What do we got here? Just because Poole signs a lot of big money guys and trades number 1 doesn't make him a genius.
Yeah.
They still gotta play, right? They still gotta play, and he's still gotta draft those players.
Yes.
Maybe he turns out and does what the Jets does and hit home runs with all their picks. Or he's Rick Spielman, where every other first round pick is a bomb. But who knows? We'll find out.
Spielman's the reason we're not getting a comp pick for Dalvin too. It's his void year. Damn it.
Yeah, it's a lot of all these void years are not the player's fault. It's not Kwesi's fault. It is Spielman's fault.
Yeah.
And that's one thing too. Don't you feel like Kwesi is trying to find these guys that fit the mold, and he sees the potential in them, and they're not these big splashy guys we're gonna go get and pay $20 million to. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, we're paying like 2/3 of the price, and we're getting an athlete that maybe underperformed or something happened that lowered his value. Mm-hmm. It's the same way in the draft. If like when we got Diggs, and that was a situation where we liked Diggs, and we waited, and finally we just said we can't let him go any farther. We picked him in the 5th round. I feel the same way about our receiver we got in the 5th. It was the 6th round.
Naylor, I think, was the 6th. Yeah.
Yeah, sitting Jalen Naylor in the 6th. It was the same situation. Hurt most of his career. Mm-hmm. He had having a bomb senior year, and damn, he broke his hand. So it's like, what the hell? So I love these sneaky good picks. Ty Chandler's one of those. He was in a running back situation, or he was a running back by committee in Tennessee, and he's an athlete, and he tested off the charts. Then you got an undersized linebacker in Asamoah. We take him because he's a whirling dervish, and It's just like we're finding these guys in later rounds, or we're finding these free agents. And in Oliver, that was a third round pick. He caught 57 balls and 700 yards at Fresno, and he runs a little over a 4.6. He's 6'5", and he manhandles as a blocker. He was just behind somebody, and we see that. Well, let's go get him.
Yeah, and Oliver's a guy too.
His highlight reel on his catches are ridiculous.
Yeah, and he can kind of do it all, but he gets drafted and he's behind a guy like Mark Andrews, who's an amazing receiver at tight end. And it also lines up with the Ravens losing Nick Boyle, who was one of the best blocking tight ends in football. So he just kind of came into that role, and he was able to do that at a high level as well. So I think if he comes in here, we saw the Chiefs last season absolutely destroy people out of 12 and 13 personnel. And I think right now, Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell are identifying the way that the game is maybe shifting back a little bit to heavier offensive sets, and they're trying to get ahead of that curve. And they're leaning into some 12 personnel, some 13 personnel, and at least getting the players in position where we can do that with the guys we have on the roster. And I mean, the Super Bowl champs last year, it was not a good receiving core. It was a average receiving core, and we have the best receiver in football. So if we're in 13 and we've got a guy like TJ Hockenson on the field, like they had Kelsey on the field, but then instead of, Marquez Valdez-Scantling at X, we've got the best receiver in football. And then we can do some things creatively with our tight ends. And you also force the defense into base defense when you bring that personnel out. And what does that do? That isolates Justin Jefferson on the boundary. It keeps the defense from being able to play that all that cover one double 18 that we saw from the Giants, that we saw from the Eagles, that we saw from the Packers when he was really locked up. So it forces the defense into a disadvantageous position. And if we're able to get, and this is a loaded tight end draft, we've got 5 on the roster, and we'll see how Muse and Ellefson and whomever pan out. Ellefson's a great blocker. But if you get another receiving threat, I don't know that it matters if it's a tight end or a wide receiver at this point, the way this team seems to be trending. And a guy like Kwesi seems like a guy who would be identifying these trends and trying to get ahead of them. It might take some more teams a while to get back there, but they were almost all 11 personnel last year, but they kept CJ Ham. So it might kind of swing back the other way, and you might.
Yeah, I think the fact that we're keeping CJ Ham and Alexander, and we re-sign Alexander Madison, and we sign one of the best blocking tight ends in the league. I'm smelling a comeback with the running game.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to, because that will just open up.
Yeah,
open up the offense, I think. And here's a good point. There's a sneaky, great move by the Minnesota Vikings of getting rid of Sugarman and getting rid of that apparently toxic environment. A lot of people were complaining about, how he treated injured players, and it feel like these guys are like, if Lewis Cine starts week 1. That's a big deal, man. That's amazing. If
you might be ready for OTAs, they said.
And Booth Jr. coming back healthy would be amazing feat. Inheriting basically guys, right away getting hurt in the preseason or the first game of the season, or heck, London. It's just like getting them back on the field, because you're dealing with concussions, and we're getting guys back, and getting Darisaw back late in the season was a big deal. Getting Tomlinson back, that's a sneaky big move. And it showed with the NFLPA, and probably why we signed our center back and our running back, and our kicker and all these guys back, is because we're the number 1 free agent destination. I've been saying this for 2 years. Is that we are a destination franchise, and so does the players. Because it's the players voting on it, rating each one of these categories, and part of it is the medical team, and we're in this sneaky big move, I think.
Yeah, that's something I was really curious to ask Alexander Madison's dad about too, because the Vikings also got an A+ on how they treat the families of players.
I was going to bring it up with him.
It's really interesting. And Byron Murphy coming over from the Cardinals, the main reason he came here is he talked to Jordan Hicks and he talked to Patrick Peterson, and
they were number 7. Yeah,
this is a great culture. You'd love it here, and that was one of the big determining factors.
And I love. Guy, he seems like he's fitting the culture because they asked him, you can play inside, play outside. So I'm a team player. I'm going to play anywhere. Mm-hmm. And here's a good question. Is Ellefson means Johnny Munt? Well, I think Johnny Munt goes into camp, right? I think he goes into camp. You got to fight for his job. I can see him beating out an Ellefson. Mm-hmm. What does Ellefson do that Munt can't do? I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, and Munt has that familiarity with the Kevin O'Connell scheme. I mean, he followed Kevin from the Rams, but I think you're going to have a camp battle with Ellefson and Munt. Munt, yes.
Yep. Yeah, you meant Munted, yeah.
Did I say?
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you try to learn from the best coach, Andy Reid? That's why KOC is great, because he's learned from everybody instead of being stubborn and just staying the same.
Love it.
Not evolved. So I bring up this point a lot, that I don't mind getting a coach that failed. Like a Brian Flores, you could say that he failed, he lost his job. Well, so back in KOC was the offensive coordinator for the Redskins. They didn't have a very good year that year, but the people he was around all became stud coaches, and everybody thought enough of him that the Rams says, "Hey, come be on our team." And sure enough, what are the Rams like now? After KOC left, and you can kind of see that he wasn't just a, do as I say offensive coordinator. He was they repeatedly talked about he's the guy that was planning the offense for the week. Mm-hmm. He just wasn't calling the plays. And in the fact that our offensive coordinator stayed around instead of taking jobs or going looking elsewhere to become a play caller to help his career, he decided, we're building something here. I want to stay here. It says a lot about this coaching staff, a lot about the GM, the owners, the whole franchise.
Yeah, definitely. Schlotman re-signed as well.
Did he?
Over from the Rams.
From the Denver. Yeah, we got him from Denver, right?
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, had some sort of tie there. Yeah.
Well, we had he who shall not be named, a D coordinator from Denver. He probably saw him in practice. He should start if ready. Who are we talking about there? I don't know who we were talking about that he brought that up. I might have missed it. Agree, Dave. I don't even know what you're agreeing with. I talk so much I can't remember. About our franchise being so awesome. Medical team ain't nothing to do with people being injury prone. I didn't say that, but it does mean a lot about getting back and keeping your body right. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're stressed out, you're not healing. You're not healing. And if a guy's telling you, if a guy's telling you're faking it, get out on the field, play hurt, you're probably not getting better. And that was the reports coming from some of the ex-players. I'm just saying
what Baltimore to that effect.
I'm just saying that's what I heard, man. I'm just saying that's what I heard. I'm not. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nothing about players being injury prone. But can you say Lewis Cine is injury prone? He got his leg broken.
Oh, nice. I didn't even hear that from
Murphy turned down $60 million deal with the Cardinals, less money to come here. Sounds like Kirk Cousins. Sounds like all these guys that are signing to come here for less money. And we have a state income tax. Well, Minnesota does. Minnesota has a state income tax, but it's kind of a shocker, and it's cold. So it has a lot to do with the environment, the facilities, the owners. It's all about that. It's certainly not, certainly not driving into the city from the suburbs.
Yeah, and I don't think the medical staff is any type of, cure-all for these injury-prone guys, but I think it's the environment that comes with it. I mean, we saw horror stories come out of Baltimore after they got rid of their, I think his title was just the lead trainer or head of, whatever that would be. But how their injuries were mismanaged, and hey, now I'm out of the NFL because they had me come back too early or something like that. It's just stuff like that they're not going to do. So maybe there's a lot of staffs like that aren't going to be terrible, but there's something to be said for one that's in the upper echelon, according to all the players.
As a training staff, you can mishandle injuries.
Right.
That could, or
maybe
it
it's
could
what
be
they're not
that
doing.
It could be people lying, but that was not. But there was players coming out after Sugarman, after he got let go. They were like,
yeah.
They were not afraid to talk about it. They
Zone,
signed Bradbury. This is
they've got to bring
Rhino answering Zone podcast. Yeah, Zone. We signed Bradbury. There we go. We fixed it.
I think they'll bring some competition in on the interior. Chris Reed took a pay cut, shaved $1 million off his 20.
I did not know that. That's why I brought him on the. That's why the check's still in the mail. It's coming.
So he's going to be in the mix. Hopefully not starting any games at center. And yes. Schloman's back. But I think
hopefully not starting any games at center either.
I could see them bringing in some competition. Maybe they take another day 3 guy and just bring in some competition for Ezra Cleveland.
And someone brought up the fact yesterday that this does not preclude us from drafting a center because we don't have a whole lot of money committed.
Bradbury's 2023 cap hit is only 2.6. And then I think it's also at the third year is kind of one of those like fake years, kind of like Josh Oliver's is. Josh Oliver, his 2025 cap hit is slated for 10.2, but I think 8.4 of it is cleared with a cut, so it's only like 1.8 dead. Similar thing, I think, with Bradbury as far as the way his guarantees are lined up.
Yeah, you don't want free agent visits during a snowstorm, do you, Rhino? Yeah. Hey, come on! Oh my God! They step off their plane's delayed 6 hours. They got to stay at a Holiday Inn overnight, and they can't leave. Now the cornerback we got Booth. I was talking about injury prone.
Oh yeah, he had the issues in college as well. So I'm kind of with you there, frankly. But
yeah,
it's about getting them back more than it is about keeping them from getting injured. But there's preparation that goes into that too. I think they just do it the right way. So it's your best odds.
Here's what I say about guys that are getting injured when they're younger is that once you hit your peak physical ability around age 27. They talk about that all the time. So I think it's once the guys get closer to that, they're realizing what they can and can't do with their body, and they're getting all the advice from the right advice of eating and exercise and just getting that balance. You got a college kid hungry who got hurt in high school and is keeping that with him all the way through college and not getting it taken care of and playing through it. Getting drafted in the second round, how good could this guy be if he was healthy for being how good a player he was in college? I had him in the first round if he was healthy. I was happy as shit when we got him in the second round, Andrew Booth Jr. I have a big future. I think he's got a future with us. He's definitely good against the run. He's very aggressive. He got handsy. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Evans was gonna be the handsy guy, and Booth was more refined. Complete opposite.
Yeah.
But he's got room, and I think and he was named by name by Brian Flores in a press conference. So he thinks a lot of him, and Asamoah too.
Yeah, and the injury stuff probably gives him a pretty low floor, but I think the ceiling's pretty high as well.
Spring is coming, and so are the mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, our mosquitoes are the size of pterodactyls.
Yeah.
So it sucks here in the summer too. It's hot and sticky. No, it's actually pretty nice most of the time. It's hot and sticky in Florida, I can tell you that. But you don't have we spray for mosquitoes. By June, Mary, yeah. I was in South Dakota, and I remember it snowing June 13th one year. So yeah, hopefully we can shake it. I agree. I'm giving these guys a chance. I'm not writing anybody off. we're talking about snow too, I guess. I'm excited to see Booth. Me too, JD. And when I saw he picked off JJ in training camp, I got so excited.
I remember that.
So, and that's why I'm excited about like Jalen Naylor. He actually shook Andrew Jr. and got this long catch, and I just felt good about some of these young players. People are so down on this draft, but I'm like, Lewis Seen's a starter in this league for a long time. Andrew Jr. is, if at worst, serviceable in this league. But he was injured, and hopefully that doesn't continue. Then Asamoah, he's going to start for us at least for the next 3 years. And if we can afford him after that. Then we got our starting right guard, who I have a lot of hope for that he's gonna take that next step. It's hard to play offensive line in this league. And then you got I labeled steals of the draft in the preseason of Ty Chandler and Jalen Naylor. For us, steals for us. I thought they were in a different draft, and if they were healthy, or Ty Chandler had more playing time earlier in his career, these guys would have been, third rounders, or even Naylor. I thought could have been a weak receiver draft if he was healthy, a second rounder, low second rounder. So I feel like I'm Pollyanna. I'm optimistic about these dudes. I think we're going to see some guys taking some steps. I'm not too worried about drafting I am not worried about drafting a receiver, because I think Jalen Naylor is an up and coming player. And when you saw him in the game, you're like, he did nothing but catch first downs. And he had good routes, and he caught that 46-yard touchdown. He got that safety bit on him, and he caught it and ran up the sideline for the touchdown. And that guy was a starter. The tallest hill in my area is Mount Fargo, where they all the city snow. Usually mountain doesn't disappear until June. I was the same way in our Booth, Chandler, Asamoah are going to be studs. Let's see. Ingram will have the big jump this season, hopefully.
It's usually year 2 for NFL guards.
Well, I was talking about the left tackle for San Fran. He gave up like 8-10 sacks his rookie year, but now he's the best left tackle in the league.
Mm-hmm. Who remembers a Caleb Evans play in the Commanders game, trailing Terry McLaurin on a drag and breaking up that pass on a 4th down to seal it? When he was thrust into starting one-on-one with Terry McLaurin, and he made the play to basically seal the game for us. I think Caleb Evans has a shot to be something in this league as well. Like you got to at least be curious to see who really pops in that cornerback room. But at this point, I think it could be any of them. Evans showed some flashes for sure. We know Booth has it in him if he's able to stay healthy. Murphy could play inside or out, so we'll see who can, who thrives on the outside or inside, because I think Murphy could kind of fill in wherever else. But I'm excited about the cornerback room now. We're going to get some more bodies in there for sure. But we've also got Kalen Barnes on the roster technically, and he ran a 4.23 at the combine, so maybe we could do something with that speed. Who knows?
Oh yeah, that's right. We got him late in the season. Yeah. Naylor to me is that dude. If that dude is a number 2 receiver, that is his ceiling. I don't think he's a number 1 dude.
Naylor never mind. It's probably just a typo.
Yeah. You should all be excited about where our Vikings are going. Yes, because we got a competitive team this year that arguably is going to be just as, I don't think we're going to win 13 games because of our schedule. We're going to have one less home game. We're going to be playing a couple of more first place teams. So, yeah, it would be really hard to win 13 games this year. But this is a team that can win the division again and have at least a home game in the playoffs, and that's a start.
This is a team that we have to feel kind of good about winning the conference, because when are you ever going to see a conference landscape, particularly at the quarterback position, this week? I mean, we saw they just did on Good Morning Football, and we don't have to get too into it.
Because
have Kirk in the top
they're not
5.
getting better. The Eagles aren't getting better.
They're
getting better.
They might be just as good. But
and who's the quarterback in San Fran, right?
Who's the quarterback in San Fran? The other top guys in the conference outside of Cousins and Hurts are Dak. Jared Goff is probably in that conversation. Stafford, if he comes back healthy, but that team's in shambles. There's some powerhouses in the AFC, but to be honest, you've got to feel pretty good about our chances just on the NFC side of things. And, you go on a run, you get there, anything can happen. But and you've also got some continuity finally on the offensive play calling side for Kirk Cousins and company. Year 2 with Kevin O'Connell, I think the only way to go is up. I'm stoked about it. I think you've got to be excited about the direction. It's new, it's analytical, it's player friendly, and I'm really big on the leadership group right now, and I do like the kind of moves along the margins. Right there with you, Zone. The cornerback room, if there are no injury concerns, I think we're all jumping up and down. But given those, you got to get some more bodies in there, and you got to hope that one or more of those guys pops and stays healthy. But it's a good group, and that might be one of the thinnest groups on our roster at this point. So, yeah.
I wasn't too. I wouldn't mind Shelley coming back.
No, I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, because he's going to be cheap, and he was definitely effective. And that just makes it more depth. I like what we got. I am completely fine with Murphy and Evans starting, and Murphy move. And this was brought up that Murphy can move in inside and have Booth hopefully win the job and be the guy to bring in on the outside when we go to nickel.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the cornerback room. I think our linebacker and our D line core is weaker than our cornerback.
Yep. Yep. It's up the middle, really. Interior defensive line, and you've got to get another linebacker in the mix for sure. But I think from it, and Za'Darius isn't even necessarily gone. We could see
right. I think they
and Davenport on the field at the same time.
I don't think they wanted him gone. I thought they were going to. I thought they were going to get rid of him, right? And then I'm like, "Holy, these guys really want to keep him." And then Za'Darius, God, I signed such a crappy contract for myself that I want to go somewhere and get more money.
Yeah, seems like another one of those situations where they're just like, "Okay, let's just buy a little bit of time with this guy. Let's not make any snap decisions."
I don't know what you were thinking before the last season, but comments like this didn't happen. They're building for the future. Exactly.
We're all run it back.
But think about now. Yeah, think about now. People are actually excited. We still got, this is a team that you lost a playoff game, the first round of the playoff game, and defense was historically bad for us. Mm-hmm. And 3 years in a row historically bad. We didn't improve it at all. Yeah. But we're optimistic about the future. We're okay with what happens this year. We got a shot.
This offseason feels like the competitive rebuild thing they were talking about, right? You're cutting some old guys. You're getting rid of Thielen. You're fielding calls about getting rid of Dalvin Cook. You're signing young guys in free agency, but you bring back Harrison-Smith because you feel like he can still help you and you need a leader in the room. You're doing a restructure on Kirk to give yourself some room for this year, but you're also not tethering yourself and shackling yourself to him for the future too soon. You're giving yourself that flexibility, making him show it to you. And I just really, really like the approach so far. You can say what you will about the specific moves themselves, but from a philosophical standpoint, I think it's right where we want to be.
What percentage would you give this possibly happening? JD, let's jump up to number 3 and get here 15. What percentage chance would you give Rhino that we would be able to give enough draft camp compensation? Because there's probably a team higher than us that has better picks than us, more draft capital basically to give up to go get him. I just don't see Is he going that high? First of all, do you think he is?
It's tough to tell who. I feel like Stroud
Because I
and
think
Young.
before we move on or talk about it, we both kind of agree that he has an amazing athlete and has got sky high potential, right?
Ridiculous
Yeah.
athlete.
So
I
yeah,
mean,
we agree
40
on
and a
that.
half inch
Rhino, we
vertical,
agree with you on that.
244 pounds. So it's insane.
It's ridiculous. Athlete.
4.43, I think, in the 40. Like, whoa. These are Joe Webb
I
numbers.
would go get all his rookie cards if he came to the Vikings. I would get all of them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think those tools really warrant taking him that high. But if do we have the ammunition to get him? Probably not. If I saw it happen, I mean, yeah, I'm running naked through the streets. But like, it's not something I see as particularly viable for just the assets they have right now. But again, if you see a guy like this start to fall, if he falls to like 7, 8, I mean, I think you get on the phone. I mean, if he falls to 5, 6, you might start getting on the phone and just seeing what you can figure out. But from an ammunition standpoint, the draft picks we've got in the bag, tradable, enticing tradable players, I don't see it, and I feel like we'll be easily outbid. But
this is what would have to happen, Rhino.
What the market's like.
Kwesi would have to go Ricky Williams and actually have to marry him on the cover of Sports Illustrated, wearing a wedding gown. That's what. And this time Kwesi would have to wear the wedding gown because I don't think the player will. I think we're past that, but I think that's what would happen. And I think they traded their entire draft and their first round the next year, if I'm not mistaken. It was that how times have changed that the Saints gave up their entire draft and the first round the next year, I think, and for a running back, and now you can't even draft one. Now it's hard to even find one drafted in the first round. That's insane. But that's my take. Yeah. I don't know if it's floor. This is why I don't agree with this, because Dante Culpepper set the NCAA record for completion percentage his last year in college, and AR-15 as a 53%, and is probably one of the lower ones in the draft. That's why I don't say as floor as Dante Culpepper, because Dante Culpepper was extremely accurate at UCF.
I think
that's where I disagree with you, but most of the traits, yes.
Low, yeah. But he's got every single tool you could want, and I would trust wholehearedly Kevin O'Connell to maximize that.
If he can sit for a year. If he can sit for a year, I think it would do him some well. And honestly, in my video I did of him, I said 2 years, because I was like, okay, if we draft this guy, we're going to, if Kirk's extended, we'll have him sitting behind Kirk for 2 years, because this guy's only played like 14 games, and is 53%. Now, I think he can improve on that drastically, but I don't want to, I just didn't think he was going to be ready to start. But God, the combine happens. He's a freak athlete. Everybody knew that. Now they extremely know it. Yeah, it would be really exciting to go get. And like you said, it's your draft dream. First, give up first rounders 23, 24, and 25, maybe a player. But that's the issue. Someone's higher than us, though, that is going to give away 15, 15, 15, 15, and they'll take that over 23, 24, 25. That's the only thing, is we're competing. And is that the winning hand? I think it is if we're going up into the teens. If we're going up into like 12, 15, I think that's might be what it would take, or maybe a little less. Who knows? But I think the only way we get a shot at a guy is in the teens. I don't think we can go up to 10, because we're competing against all these other teams that need quarterbacks.
Yeah, because when you're moving down, you're right. I mean, the biggest factor is usually how far do you have to move down this season, because that's the tangible asset. You have no idea how well the team you're trading with is going to perform the following season or the season after that. But I'd be with you though. If you're able to do it, trade all three of them. I'm there. I'm in if you're able to get a guy like that. I think he's much more NFL ready. Even though they've thrown a similar amount of total collegiate passes than a guy like Trey Lance, who the 49ers traded the farm for.
Well, now I like this guy more than Trey Lance because Trey Lance played in the Summit League.
Yes,
and I'm from that area, and it used to be Division II, and now it's Division I. And sure, they got great teams, and won some titles. Go South Coast State Jackrabbits. They won the title this year, first time ever. Great job. Screw you, Indy, and they beat NDSU doing it, so that was awesome. But so that was awesome. But yeah, I like you know what, I have him here. Let me I'm surprised we've been talking about him, and I don't have his graphic up. Where are you at? Yeah,
I trust.
There we go. There you have AR-15.
Hell yeah.
Which is kind of unique because that's a very popular gun in the country. So I don't know. the Democrat government in Minneapolis might not like it.
Yeah, he's got a howitzer on his arm too. So I mean, yeah, it's all the tools, and if you've got the plan, if you're able to go make it happen.
Oh, is it football's Missouri? Sorry, I left a long time ago. Missouri Valley Conference. That's for football. I guess the Summit League's for basketball. Thank you for thanks, Rhino. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So and I mean and Trey Lance too was a year removed from football. He had thrown less passes total in college than Bryce Young threw this season. Anthony Richardson is in a similar boat when it comes to experience at the collegiate level, but his quality of experience is much higher. The competition against which he played is much better, and there's a plenty to be said for that. And he's fresher. He's not sitting out 2020 ahead of the draft. He's he just played last season. He's fresh. We saw him blow up the combine. We know what he can do on the field as a thrower of the football. And like you mentioned, I think it was Rhino as well, that a lot of it is footwork stuff. And, that's pretty easy to work on at the NFL level. Even the guys who are pretty proficient with their feet get to the NFL and have to improve on that.
One of the things you can say about a guy and with his athletic ability is you can cover up a lot of flaws with his running ability, and however, not sustainable in the NFL. So why he's covering up his flaws, his running ability, he better be developing, like he said, the footwork, and because his arm he has a quick enough release. He's got it over the top arm, and he throws a hell of a freaking good deep ball. He throws it a country mile. They say Will Levis can throw it 80. This guy can throw it 75, but I don't know. I think I think he may have the strongest arm in the draft.
Up there. Yeah.
Yeah, Richardson. It's because I think honestly, looking at the highlights, I think, God, this guy's got room to throw. But one of the things you see with these college guys, they're always on the shotgun, and they got, and a lot of them got, a lot of the highlights are them with their SEC offensive line playing against Podunk School first couple of weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. And you're like, God, look at that throw. Oh, there's nobody around him, so he can do that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a different story in the NFL. That's what I'm saying. Get this guy, get him preseason games, get him college games. A guy like him probably has a package that an offensive coordinator is going to give him some experience during the year. So it's like, it would be awesome. I think it's pie in the sky talk, unless everybody's throwing smoke screens out there. Like last year, we thought, at least 3 guys were going to go in the first round, and none of them did. Mm-hmm. Well, Pickett did. Did Pickett go in the first round?
Pickett went at 20.
He went at 20, and then the other guys fell. Almost all of them, if not all of them, fell to the 3rd round, right? Because when did Ritter get taken?
Just the second, I think. Who else went? Ritter went at.
I forget.
Yeah, but I remember picking one at 20. Fields fell to 20 the year prior, I think.
No, I think he went early because remember we were talking about trading up to go get him, wasn't it?
It went Lawrence, Wilson, Lance. Mac Jones went at 15. I think Fields. Did the Bears trade up from 20?
He traded up.
Was it 20 or I feel like it was 20 or 10, and I might be getting a little dyslexic.
I'm sure Rhino has already got the answer, and he's ready. He's probably already typed it.
Somebody's got us.
Yeah, I can't find it. Go Lady Jacks. All right. Oh, we got some South Coast State fans here. Can you imagine what the running ability would do if Jefferson company going deep? They play back skills on feet. They play on or a guy can accurately throw it to him would be good too, which we have. Oh, that is sweet. I'm just kidding, man. Everyone through Malik Willis could be top 10 pick and end up going to third. That's what I was talking about. Malik Willis are talking about top pick, right? And have you heard of him lately? No, you haven't.
And I like AR a lot.
Yeah, they trade up to get Fields, but we're trying to figure out where he was drafted.
Was it 10?
He was early, number 11 overall to select Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields. So the went from 20
they traded up from 20
to 11, and they took him. And remember, there's we were testing the water, see what it would take to go up and get him.
Yeah.
And the Bears went and got him, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, we let the Bears take Fields. We're gonna suck forever, and the Bears are gonna beat us." No, we got Christian Darrisaw, and life is good.
Yes, I take.
Would you rather have Christian Darrisaw right now or Justin Fields?
100% Darrisaw. We don't talk about him enough. I'm sure we will a little bit more in the season. He's an afterthought because he's such a sure thing at this point. But man, he's just.
And this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, Ryan, you make a good point. Everybody thought Wells was going number 2 overall. There was a video of him helping a homeless guy outside the combine, giving the guy clothes out of his bag. It was, the guy's a really good guy. He's a leader and a heck of an athlete. I didn't see what everybody else saw in him. I don't know.
His thing was playing at Liberty too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is Liberty, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think it would necessarily translate, but the smoke screens that teams put out there lead to people to believe that he's going to go this high and somebody's going to take the bait. And nobody took the bait last year. Nobody took the bait, and they fell probably where they should have fell. My number 1 quarterback was Ritter. That's who I said before the draft was Ritter. I like Pickens, but Ritter running a 4.5 40. And he had a strong arm. I thought he was the guy, and I thought, hey, with our second round pick, I was like, let's take him. I don't mind us taking him here, but
he was the most NFL ready. A lot of people thought.
We've been going an hour and a half, hour and 40. I had no intention of going even close to this long, but the chat was awesome. We had in the teens as far as people at one time, but the fact that you guys are so active, I appreciate it. It helps the Rhino in here telling us what's up all the time. I appreciate that, man. Can't wait to have you back on the show. Or one of the shows or all of them. I don't care. You're welcome anytime. Any last words, any thoughts on what's next? What's going to happen next?
Well, now we're waiting on stuff like, do they do a restructure on Brian O'Neill and try to get busy in free agency? Do they, are we waiting on Za'Darius news? Are we waiting on Dalvin Cook news? How long are we going to wait on that stuff? But now I think the frenzy's passed a little bit. We might see some more free agency additions, but they're going to have to move some things around to do so. So, I mean, those are kind of the 3 on roster guys. that I think we can look at. But as far as who they might go out and get, they might blindside us again. And I mean, I didn't see the Murphy thing coming. I didn't hear anything about them targeting him at all. I heard stuff
Judd
about
actually
Murphy bunting.
Judd actually scored a touchdown on Purple Daily with their.
Yeah, they do the.
He predicted
I know
us getting Murphy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, he got like 3 touchdowns in their little thing because he had Murphy.
Judd's my favorite one of them.
He had Eric Kendricks going to L.A., either the Rams or San Diego.
I had that one too. I actually had that one with the Chargers on my podcast. I'll take that one too.
You got a touchdown too. I don't want to steal their game because they get upset. I think they were mad at some NFL show for taking one of their games. And everyone, great show, Skull. Mary, I appreciate you guys. Rhino, thank you. Yeah, that means a lot coming from one of the greats. Hey, we got Dalvin Cook trade watch forever. We got Zadarius Smith. I want to play for another team watch for probably ever. Nothing happened tonight, so I guess there's still Vikings tomorrow. I think we could do worse than having Dalvin Cook and Zadarius Smith still on this team this year, and depth coming out. Depth in running back, depth at outside linebacker. Willekes is back. Is he still alive?
Willekes when he's healthy.
Yeah, he's still alive.
Just looks like he plays harder than everyone else out there.
We got the future is bright. Let's go. Thank you for showing up. I'll try to schedule on a time where rap is not going live. So we'll see you next time. Skull Vikes.
Thanks, guys.